We booked a 14-night cruise to Norway with 6 port stops. Haugesund and Andelsnes were 2 ports we'd visited before and we knew what we would do there. Tromsø and Honningsvåg were 2 ports we'd heard a lot about and we had excursions booked at both places. However, the last 2 ports on our itinerary were places we'd never heard of, Hammerfest and Harstad. I'd searched YouTube for some vlogs on Harstad, but there was very little content available about this port. Also, the cruise line excursions at this port were quite limited and most of them had sold out by the time we booked a few months in advance. So, what could we do in a port that we knew nothing about? Would it be a washout or a bit of a wonder? Well, stick with us and find out. And welcome to a rainy Harstad in Norway. So the weather's not great today, it's a bit grey, but we're gonna try and have a good day out as long as you bring the right clothes. We're on our Ambassador Ambience Cruise. This is our last stop.
So we're going to look at the town centre itself, and there's a walk up to Trondenes church, and beyond that there is apparently an old concentration camp which might make us contemplate life.
Yeah. So join us if this is something that you're interested in doing, if it's a port on an itinerary you're thinking about, and see what you think.
And hopefully the weather's better for you.
Yes. We disembarked Ambassador Ambience, and on the pier there was a welcome tent with maps and friendly locals handing out information about Harstad. The cruise line had a few excursions on offer, but most had sold out well before we booked, so this was a do-it-yourself day for us. So our plan, well, it was to walk along the coastline to the Trondenes historical centre, which is about a 45-minute walk each way. The start of the walk was actually really pretty. There are some unusual seating options along the route, including giant nets that you can lie in and curved benches that look like something from a modern art installation. Great if you fancy a little lie down halfway to the museum, though probably not in the rain. There are also lots of signposts telling you where to go, so it was quite easy just to follow this route. Eventually, the scenic path took us through, well, let's just call it Harstad's less photogenic side. Industrial units, a bit of shipyard grit, the sort of place that you wouldn't put on a postcard, but stick with it because it does get better. After the industrial bit, the walk opens up again with a nice coastal boardwalk and glimpses into local back gardens. It felt like we were getting a peek into real Norwegian life, which is always a treat when travelling. It does feel like you're visiting the real Norway here. Harstad doesn't feel like a tourist destination. In fact, I tried to find out how many cruise ships visit here each year, and it's been really difficult trying to get some accurate figures. I did establish, though, that there are only 25 cruises on sale over the next 2 years with a big online cruise travel agent that we're calling at Harstad. So it does appear to be a bit of an obscure port of call. After about 45 minutes, we reached the Trondenes Historical Centre. Now, if you're walking here yourself, don't worry because there is a lovely cafe attached to it and it's perfect for a rest stop. There's a good selection of sandwiches, cakes and, of course, coffee. Now, expect to pay about £5 for a coffee and £5 for a cake. Standard sort of Norwegian prices, which basically does mean brace your wallet. You don't have to pay to enter the museum to use the cafe facilities. However, I don't know whether it was just us, but we could not find any Wi-Fi to use here. But there are plenty of toilets, so don't worry about having to find a tree or a big rock to go behind. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about, take a look at our North Cape vlog to see some of the toilet troubles we encountered on this trip. Now, the museum costs about £14 to enter, and it covers Harstad's history from the Stone Age to the 1950s, with a focus on Vikings, the Middle Ages and World War II. We actually decided to give it a miss, partly because we were short on time and because we also wanted to spend a bit more time outside exploring. But, you know, if you're a history buff, it is a great option. Right next door is Trondenes Church, and this was one of the highlights of the day. It's the northernmost medieval stone church in Norway, and actually it's the world's most northern surviving medieval building. It opened in 1435 and it can seat around 300 people. The grounds here are full of information boards about the Soviet prisoners of war who were held here during World War II. Now, this made for a really sobering and thought-provoking wander around. It was really atmospheric and eerie here. It was helpful that the information that was displayed on the boards around the site was in English, so we could discover the history of the land and reflect on the tragedies that had happened here. It is really one of those places that makes you stop and think. If you don't fancy the 45-minute walk, there were tour buses parked here too, so an excursion might be a good alternative if you're not up for the walk. On the way back, we took our time, even wandering down to the pebbly beach. Now, it's not the world's prettiest beach, but it was completely empty, which made it strangely atmospheric. And we just stood there for a bit, soaking it all in, or maybe just drying off a little bit. Back in Harstad town, we visited Gallery Northern Norway. This is housed in what used to be the city's swimming pool, and it was designed by Jan Ing Hovig, the same architect who designed Tromsø's famous Arctic Cathedral. When we visited, there was an exhibition of colourful costumes called Too Hot to Make Fashion. It was quirky, fun, and it was a nice break from the drizzle. So we've just been in the gallery here and we met such a lovely guy. He's so knowledgeable. He was chatting to us about Norwegian life. We've seen a couple of exhibits in here. It's a nice little way to spend 15 minutes. There's no charge to get in, but it's a really nice little place and the guy's lovely. Harstad is quite a small town with a handful of quiet shops, and it was really, really quiet on the Tuesday in June when we visited. There were a couple of nice squares to wander around and soak up the atmosphere. And fun fact, Harstad is on Norway's biggest island. How about that? Next stop was a TripAdvisor recommended bakery, and wow, what a selection of pastries. I had a great time. We had coffee and a massive bun each. I mean, the kind you really have to commit to. And just sitting by the window, coffee in hand, watching Norwegians go about their day was just really, really perfect. So before heading back to the ship, we popped into the small shopping centre, which is right next to the port. It's handy if you don't want to venture any further because it is right next to where the ship docks. And if you want a last minute gift or want to take a quick look in some local shops before you sail away.
Well, that brings us to the end of a day in Harstad. And despite the fact that at first appearances we thought it was quite an industrial area and a bit bleak looking, we've had a really nice day.
I've really, really enjoyed it here. I think meeting Niels in the gallery was lovely because we got to find out about the locals and how they live here, and that was really interesting. And we went to that bakery, which was lovely. I just think we've had a really nice day. It turned out to have lots of good experiences. And if you come in here, just make the most of it, you know, go for a walk up to that church was lovely, have a little wander around the town. It's fine.
There's absolutely no big hitter attractions,
No.
but enjoy the walks that you can go on, enjoy the facilities, the bakeries, the art galleries, and have a nice time in Harstad.
One thing you probably will struggle to find is free Wi-Fi. I haven't found any anywhere. There was some in the cafe, and she put the password in for us when we were in there, but that is something that we've struggled to do here.
I'm sure that there will be some somewhere.
Yeah,
but
just we didn't find it. And on that bombshell.
Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.